What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to the Sports Talk on Tap podcast. We're here. You can find daily videos Monday through Friday covering all the four major sports leagues, whether that be NFL, NHL, MLB, or NBA, games, news, highlights, all that fun stuff. And Nick, obviously, we had the pleasure of going out to see the joint practice yesterday between the Eagles and the Patriots, where we'll obviously be recapping some of the important takeaways from that. It was a fun time just going out there, seeing football in real action, very packed. Might be the biggest takeaway for me. But obviously, Philly, kind of a closer market, obviously a bigger market, but right nearby. So, and still Patriots fans, very loyal, even through the ups and downs that may be, this season and the next couple seasons. They're still loyal popping out, and it was the last practice. So, good to get a quick send off in before the regular season officially gets underway.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, before we get into takeaways, sorry.
Sorry, I think
that was definitely the biggest takeaway.
Had a little disconnect. I was just gonna say how surprised I was at how many people were there because, like you said, as bad as the Patriots have been. I mean, I get the Eagles fans part because there was a lot of Eagles fans, but I'm proud to say, Patriots Nation showed out in that last open practice. So, I mean, it was a nice day to go out. So that's another reason probably why. But regardless, still, there's not a lot of hope surrounding this team. So,
yeah, really was beautiful. Nice day in New England, and just, seeing the new Gillette Stadium with the new rejuvenations they made, or whatever it's called, renovations over the last couple of years. With that being said, before we get into any of the quick breakdowns, Nick, unfortunately, of course, for me and for Vikings fans yesterday, it was a sad day when news broke that J.J. McCarthy will have to get knee surgery. Oh, sorry. I didn't even realize we did two different slides, but yeah, we'll go back to the Patriots. But J.J. McCarthy, unfortunately, will have to go repair torn meniscus that he, I guess, suffered during the game at some point, reported soreness. And then yesterday, obviously, head coach Kevin O'Connell came out and spoke. And, it's going to suck just to not be able to see him in these practices or in these joint practices, because I just wanted to see him continue progressing and stuff. And obviously, that'll take a hit. But still, at, the given time, we don't know how long he'll be off. Be as little as 4 to 6 weeks, where he's back as soon as October, and is practicing again, or could be 6 to 8 months, where he probably will just be ready for those June workouts, whatever they're called. I kind of forget, OTAs, mandatory OTAs. So he'll be back for that. But, there's kind of a couple ways. Yeah, obviously it's going to suck not seeing him. But I think people were acting like, even despite how great it was in preseason, Sam Darnold was going to be the starter. So this doesn't change the first couple of weeks. If he were to have, that 4 to 6 week surgery, Sam Darnold is still this team's QB, and Kevin O'Connell has admitted he's not going to rush anything. If anything, they'd throw probably Nick Mullins in before they threw Sam Darnold if they just wanted, a quarterback change, to try and get some sort of spark. So I think, some Vikings podcast said, this obviously, if you want to look at the silver lining, this might just make the transition easier. If he does get the full repair, they won't know until the surgery. If he gets the full repair, it'll just make it easier. This is Sam Darnold's year, where you kind of ride or die with him. And if he balls out, he'll go get paid somewhere else. And the transition for McCarthy will only make it easier for next year, when he's undoubtedly the QB, the Vikings quarterback one. But, either way, I am curious, if he does get that 4 to 6 week one, he'll obviously be back this year. Will he still get reps, or, what will it look like? But if he does get the 6 to 8 week, it's kind of, the clear vision is here. Sam Darnold, if it's really bad, which I don't think it will be, because I've been high on Sam Darnold, to have a, Geno Smith-Baker resurgence. If it isn't that, I would assume they would just, switch to Mullins if he's really struggling that bad. But, either way, it'll only make the transition more easier, but it does just suck for him to miss these training camp reps or preseason and not see him. But, like I said, he wasn't, he's only thrown like 2 balls to Justin Jefferson. So he was supposed to get a lot more work with the ones, which I think is what I'm most bummed about. But, at the end of the day, we'll all out and, hoping speedy recovery for him. And now it's officially Sam Darnold's job for anyone who thought it wasn't in doubt. It's going to come down to, how really good is he? And does the number 3 former pick have anything left to prove? Because if not now, it's never going to happen. So this is kind of, literally the last dance for possibly Sam Darnold's career. And I'm excited to see that too, despite all the hype JJ McCarthy had. I'm also excited to see, but that'll obviously wait.
I think the Vikings will be fine. I like you just said, I wasn't expecting JJ to get starting time unless either he took a huge leap or Sam Darnold was a disaster. The main thing this hurts is, like you said, his development is he's not actually able to be out there during practices, getting those physical reps. He can still take mental reps, watch film, do all that stuff, but it's so much different than not being on the field. But I trust Kevin O'Connell with, when you have Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, Aaron Jones, like all these great offensive pieces, I think they'll be fine. Your quarterback might be a little less athletic if you were to go the JJ McCarthy way as opposed to Sam Darnold, but I still see Sam Darnold as, pretty solid athlete. Like he's shown he can run the ball when needed.
We're going from Kirk Cousins statue. We're going from Kirk. So Sam Darnold's either way, we're getting an athletic upgrade. Obviously, Kirk Cousins is the better, but Sam Darnold has proven he can get some rushing touchdowns. I think in that year with Carolina, he had like at least 5 rushing touchdowns. He, has proven he can run the ball when he needs to. But yeah, this will be, it obviously sucks with this news, but it'll be interesting now to see. It fully is Sam Darnold's job now. And, we'll see what he makes to do with it because I'm very excited because I think, see in the last couple of years, these guys have resurgent careers where they were with a bad organization, badly run, and then they switch over and kind of, take a leap. And, maybe that isn't in Sam's pocket, but maybe it is. Who knows? Anything's really possible. And I think, Geno Smith was just that great story from 2022 of really, you never know what can happen even at age 30 plus. So yeah, that was exciting to watch. But that being said, obviously, yeah, that was the main storyline. And then we'll head back, Nick, to Patriots Eagles joint practice where do you want to start? Obviously, we were there for a majority of the 7v7 stuff. And then, I did catch a couple reps of the very end of practice where they gave a nice little applause send off to the Eagles and Patriots because there were a lot of Eagles fans there, so it was good.
I would say my takeaway from like what we saw and everything, obviously, it was so packed that for a little bit we were kind of looking around trying to get a good view of it. Ended up getting a pretty solid view of those 7-on-7s, 1-on-1s. I was surprised at Drake May. Excuse me. I looked at all the training camp notes afterwards, and he was perfect in the 7-on-7s and 11-on-11s.
We saw that.
I'm pretty sure he went like 10 for 10. So that's, I know it's 7-on-7s. I know you can't really hit the quarterback, and so it's a completely different thing. But the fact that he's making all the throws he's supposed to make, I saw some clips of him hitting Jalen Polk on a deep touchdown pass. I can't remember who Jalen Polk burned, but it was a pretty good route. But overall, I would say Drake May was probably the winner of yesterday's. I know there was also some rough patches I saw from other, Patriots beat writers that there were some guys dropping passes. It's very up and down with the Patriots media, however. Like, they can be super negative when there's no reason to be. So,
yeah,
I was pleased with what I saw from the quarterbacks. I couldn't really see the defense; they were on the other side of the facility, so it was a little harder. But I was happy with what I saw from Drake May.
Yeah, and I think it's good that you're taking advantage of the 7-on-7. Even if it is a huge advantage to the offense, but with that being said, it's still very fun to watch. However, I'm going to go a different route. I'm going to go a negative because it was something I saw, and I know you saw, and it's something that was confirmed by Patriots reporters after. And one of my biggest losers, not just that I'm or most concerned about, is this Patriots offensive line. We saw Nick in just some 11v11 drills, miscommunications, a lot of offsides were being called, and at one point, someone said during the 11-on-11 drills, like Drake May would have been sacked like it was like 5+ times if it was like a real thing. So and we're talking about it's all reliant on the quarterback. And no, like if Drake May is facing that much pressure, no one's going to succeed in that kind of environment. So you need, and I know the Eagles, I think this might be, better because the Eagles front seven is obviously really good. And that's one of the best things we've talked about, with the Eagles. So maybe it's good practice that they're going up against one of the best defensive lines, and, maybe they'll be more ready against, other good defensive lines and just ones that aren't as talented as the Eagles, but still it's very concerning to see that amount of pressure being let up, especially on your rookie quarterback. And, even Jacoby Brissett, who's going to be your starter. That's still your guy out there. And overall, just kind of a little bit of a rough patch, there, because just some miscommunication, sacks allowed. And we talked about some of their additions they made, but, still doesn't look quite up to patch. And hopefully, they can get this all figured out before, obviously, week 1, because that's the most important thing.
No, that's it's been the problem with this team since Mac Jones has been here, honestly. And so many of the Mac Jones fanboys, rightfully so, I'll give them this side of the argument in that was a major part of his screwed up development, as he never had any time in the pocket, and just it just messes with you mentally. It messes up your mechanics, makes you look bad. It starts with the O-line, and they drafted a few O-linemen, I want to say in like the 4th and 5th round, but nothing like no incredibly, insanely talented offensive linemen. Maybe they break out like during the season. I know we saw that with Michael Wenu. He was like a 6th round pick that ended up working out, but you can't just bank on, constantly hitting on these late offensive linemen to be incredibly good, because most of the time they're not going to be. So we'll see how the season goes. I know I see them in a lot of very early projection drafts to be at like the number 2 pick, where they can take Will Campbell from LSU, who's projected to be like the best offensive lineman in the draft.
Hey, LSU.
He's a stud. So I would be okay with that if, that's ultimately the Patriots end up drafting, because they're not going to take a quarterback. So either take, the best defensive player or an offensive lineman, because you need that badly, especially if you want to keep Drake May healthy and have him develop properly.
Yeah, that's 100% fair. And, should be exciting to see hopefully what steps they add through the draft next year, free agency, to, bolster this offensive line, because unless a miracle happens, it's going to continue to be a problem for the Patriots. And, rightfully so. They're not, projected to be, this juggernaut team that's going all the way. So there's going to be problems on this offensive line. And hopefully Gerard Mayo wants to build that winning culture before he puts Drake May in. And I think, that's the perfect way to go about it. And I'm hoping, part of that is just, playing with some intensity, these guys learning from their mistakes and, growing. But overall, that was definitely obviously one of the biggest concerns. And then just some other, things I thought, obviously in 7-on-7, they look good. The 11v11s did definitely become a little bit more of, a struggle for especially a guy like Jacoby Brissett, who threw a couple picks in the 11v11, went 12 for 24, so took a lot of reps. But overall for the Patriots, and I think, they'll take a lot. And I'm more so just curious to see if they run their guys out, starters. I don't know if they've announced that yet for the preseason. At least see one more series of Jacoby in the first Drake May, because we've seen a lot of other rookie quarterbacks get a lot of run, and we only saw, what was it, one series from Drake May?
I think I want to say Gerard Mayo announced a few days ago that Drake May will get, a couple of series in this next preseason game. I think rightfully so. They should have given him a few series against Carolina at
Okay,
least.
cool.
I don't think maybe it was the rain, maybe it was just that he wasn't ready yet, so they didn't want him hurt his confidence. I don't really know, but I want to say he'll get a few series, which is exciting because we'll hopefully see him, actually make some throws, not just do screens on 3rd and 20 and then, and then he's off the field. So I think the starters will probably still get, a series or two just because they're young starters. It's not like they're, Tom Brady's who have been in the league for 20 years or Aaron Rodgers who doesn't need to play in the preseason. Like Jacoby Brissett probably still needs meaningful reps with this team just to get used to it.
Yeah, that's what I figured. But overall, it was still very fun to watch. And there was highs, obviously, and there were some of the lows. But yeah, I did see, some of the routes. So maybe Jalen Polk, one of these sleepers, still could be a fantasy guy. One of the key takeaways is, there are some bright spots for this team, but obviously there's I would say my biggest takeaways are a lot of could potentially be bright spots with some of these receivers. And Drake May had that great, beautiful, I believe it was maybe a back shoulder over the top throw. I forget who it was too that made a nice catch. There's a lot of bright spots, but there's still a lot of holes, which is why they were projected 4.5 wins. Like, Philadelphia definitely looks like the better team, but that's to be expected. But we'll see. Obviously in preseason how Drake May looks if Jacoby Brissett gets any run, just even one drive to get their feet wet. But it was still very exciting just to see football back in the air. You can see the leaves might be starting to change soon to that orange, beautiful fall season that we're all ready for.
I'm excited. It's best time of the year, in my opinion.
Yeah. But we'll be here to, preview their game tomorrow. Today's Wednesday, losing track of the days. They have the game tomorrow, and then obviously this weekend. A lot of big games coming up, a lot of joint practices. I know my Vikings take on the Cleveland Browns today in a joint practice, so, we'll get reports on that and how that stuff went, and same with all the other teams across the league. But as always, let us know in the comments, what are you most looking forward to before the season starts with your training camp team, and, overall, just, going to be very exciting to see, football, real football in less than a month, 3 weeks or so back on our screens. So can't wait for that. But as always, make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy this kind of content, and we'll catch you next one. Peace.